They told him he had failed. Every simulation, every scenario, humanity was supposed to lose. But then he asked a question that froze the entire alien council. Then why are you still breathing? They told him he'd failed the test. The word failed glowed in red above his head, flickering across translucent alien screens like a verdict carved into light. The Galactic evaluation hall was silent except for the low hum of towering energy pillars that stretched toward the vaulted ceiling. Blue light spilled across the polished floor, reflecting off alien armor and crystalline thrones. Sergeant Ayan Malik stood alone in the center. Human, outnumbered, judged. 8 armored guards formed a circle around him, plasma rifles aimed steadily at his chest. Above them, on elevated thrones carved from shimmering crystal, sat the Overseer's ancient beings, with elongated skulls and luminous eyes that glowed like distant stars. You were granted a war simulation, the Central Overseer spoke, its voice vibrating directly inside his mind. In every possible variation, your fleet was destroyed. Your command chain collapsed. Your species demonstrates inferior survival probability. Failed pulsed brighter. Ayan shifted his weight slightly, boots scraping against the smooth floor. He looked calm, almost relaxed. That's so, he replied evenly. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. You relied on emotional decision-making, another overseer continued. You sacrificed military assets to evacuate civilians. You chose preservation of the weak over strategic advantage. Inefficient. A faint smile touched Ayan's lips. Yeah, he said quietly. We do that. The Central Overseer's eyes flared. This evaluation determines alliance eligibility. Humanity has failed. The word above him burned brighter. Ayan looked up at it. Then he looked around the chamber, counting guards, exits, angles, elevations. 8 on the floor. 12 on the upper balcony. Hidden snipers embedded within the pillars, barely detectable distortions in the light. He tilted his head slightly. Then why, he asked calmly, are you still breathing? The silence that followed was heavier than the one before. A guard stepped forward, weapon tightening in his grip. Disarm him, the Overseer commanded. Ayan didn't move. He didn't need to, because the test hadn't started inside their simulation. It had started the moment humanity received the invitation. Weeks earlier, Earth's orbit had fractured with light. As the Galactic Accord's structure folded into existence, humanity had been offered evaluation. Pass the test and gain protection among the stars. Fail and remain isolated in a hostile galaxy. Governments panicked. Scientists debated. Admirals prepared. But Ayan noticed something the others didn't. The simulation parameters were too clean, too predictable. Every scenario forced humanity into reactive defense. The enemies were always numerically superior. Resource constraints limited aggressive maneuvers. Moral dilemmas penalized hesitation. The Overseers weren't testing strength. They were testing predictability. So humanity gave them exactly what they expected. Losses, retreats, desperation. In the simulation, human fleets sacrificed ships to save evacuation transports. They refused total annihilation protocols. They preserved life over dominance. They lost. Meanwhile, outside the simulation, human cyber warfare divisions quietly analyzed. Every data packet exchanged during preparation. Alien technology wasn't magic, it was logic. And logic could be mapped. During cooperative briefings, shared technical overviews, and compatibility integration. Human AI seeded microscopic fragments of dormant code within alien systems. Not destructive, patient, waiting. In orbit around the Overseer's capital world, 3 human stealth frigates drifted silently, hidden within the gravitational shadow of the arrival gate itself. They powered no weapons, emitted no signals. They simply waited for a trigger. Back in the chamber, as the guard approached to seize Ayan's weapon, he lifted his wrist calmly and pressed a small device embedded in his gauntlet. The chamber lights flickered. Failed vanished. Alien rifles powered down simultaneously with a sharp mechanical whine. The energy pillars dimmed. What have you done? The Central Overseer demanded. Ayan exhaled slowly. You tested our fleets, he said. You tested our ethics. He stepped forward. But you never tested our hackers. High above the planet. The stealth frigates powered on, not weapons, but broadcast relays. A synchronized signal pulsed outward. Dormant code activated. Defense satellites froze mid-rotation. Orbital cannons powered down. Planetary shield grids dissolved like mist under sunlight. Inside the hall, guards tapped useless controls. Weapons refused to respond. Tactical displays flickered into static. Behind Ayan, a massive screen ignited, displaying the Overseer's fleet. Thousands of warships, drifting. Powerless, a wave of telepathic panic rippled across the chamber. "You compromised sovereign defense systems," one Overseer said, disbelief thick in its tone. "You compromised ours first," Ayan replied evenly. Human Marines, previously disguised as diplomatic staff, moved into position along the chamber walls. Weapons raised, calm, disciplined, not firing. The Central Overseer leaned forward. "You would destroy us," proving our assessment correct. Ayan gave a quiet laugh. "If we wanted you dead," he said, nodding toward the frozen fleet, "you wouldn't be asking questions." Silence settled again. Heavy, real. "You assumed we'd fight your way," Ayan continued. "Ship versus ship. Numbers versus numbers." He stepped closer to the thrones. "We don't win like that." The Overseers exchanged rapid telepathic pulses. "You intended to fail the simulation," one realized. "We intended to see what kind of species demands perfection before offering friendship," Ayan replied. He gestured at the powerless armada. "That wasn't weakness. That was restraint." The chamber doors sealed behind the human Marines. The Overseers stood slowly from their thrones. "You possess capacity for annihilation," the central figure stated. "Why have you not exercised it?" Ayan met its glowing gaze. "Because power isn't proven by pulling the trigger," he said calmly. "It's proven by deciding not to." He lifted his wrist again. With a soft pulse, planetary systems rebooted. Defense satellites resumed orbit. Weapons regained power. Still no one fired. The display above shifted. Failed did not return. Instead, assessment incomplete. The Overseers regarded him differently now, not as a subject, as a variable. "For millennia," the Central Overseer said, its voice echoing across planetary networks, "we have judged species by dominance." Its eyes burned brighter. "You demonstrate something rarer." Ayan raised an eyebrow. "Control." The guards slowly lowered their weapons, not because they were disabled, but because they chose to. "Humanity," the Overseer declared, "has passed." Ayan allowed himself a faint smile. "I thought we failed." "You failed the war," the Overseer replied. A pause. "But you passed the future." Ayan placed his helmet back on, the visor sealed with a soft hiss. "Good," he said. "We're not here to win wars." He turned toward the exit as the massive doors opened. "We're here to survive them." As he stepped out of the Galactic evaluation hall, the galaxy shifted subtly. Humanity was no longer a candidate, no longer a curiosity, no longer underestimated. They had failed the test and passed the species.